Hello and welcome to Community Watch. Today we'll be having a conversation with Representative Katie Dempsey about House District 13. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Your life is filled with opportunities to show the world you can take charge. It's waking up each day with a mission. It's working each day toward a goal. It's choosing to rise. It's charging forward with a purpose. It's changing the course of your life and taking charge of your future. If you're ready to be a Take Charger, enroll at Georgia Highlands College today.
Welcome to Community Watch. Greg,
Doc,
how you doing?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm all right. Now, we're talking to one of our candidates, the upcoming election. I guess I should say current election because early voting has started already.
Yes.
And I know you are particularly jazzed when we get to these election shows.
I am. I just feel like, as an American, me and you have both traveled, and we have been able to travel internationally. And America is a great country, and it's great because because of the way our democracy works.
Mm.
And so I'm always excited to participate in democracy. And I just think when we have opportunity to talk to people who are putting themselves out there, who say they want to represent us, I think we have a right, and this is a duty, to engage them in conversation. So election time is one of those times. So I'm always excited about election.
Well, today we'll be talking with Katie Dempsey, as you said in the opening, who is our state representative in District 13. We have a set of questions that we will be asking her, give her a chance to answer. And then we'll do another show with Mr. Burnett, her opponent, with the same questions. So we want to give our candidate all the time today. So stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're very happy to have with us Katie Dempsey, State Representative for District 13. Welcome.
Good morning. Afternoon. Oh.
It's all right.
What is it? What day is it? Where am I? I've been working.
Well, we're going to begin with our questions for you. What are your main motivations for running for this office?
I love Rome. I love my hometown. That's my main motivation. It always has been. I've been privileged to serve in the Georgia House for 12 years now. And prior to that, though, about 3.5 on the City Commission, and 15 years before that on the Rome-Floyd County Planning and Zoning Board. So learning to deal with the people of Rome and Floyd County, their concerns, their personal measures, particularly on the Planning Commission. You know, when you're talking about property use, you're talking about very personal issues. So trying to negotiate and work out ways for everyone to leave as happy as possible, I would say. I was there when we developed the first Unified Land Plan. So before that, there was not a plan, but to come up with a way where neighbors could be happy with one another and respect each other's desires, who might want chickens where somebody else might not want chickens. So to develop that, to also work with industry, to make sure that industry had its place in our community. I think it's really neat to drive down Broad Street, actually, and to see Southeastern Mills right there, right on the edge of downtown when you come over the bridge. And then suddenly you're in an area that is so gloriously mixed use now, with residential, with restaurants, with retail, with innovators and creators all throughout all of Broad Street and downtown Rome. So I love it here, and I want to continue to help and to serve.
What is the geographical area included in District 13?
Well, it's most of the city. There's a little bit that goes down into the county toward the Lindale area, and some that goes up into Armuchee around Berry. It is a very tight district. When I was first elected, before the first redistricting that I went through, it was the entire city and none of the county. When we went through the reapportionment process, one of the measures that kept being spoken loudly was we had 4 House members, and 3 of them really had just a tiny portion of Floyd County. It was parceled up greater. So would there be a way to make it where we had 3 House members, but everyone had some of the city and some of the county? And we were able to do that. You know, it's very much a numbers process of getting the right number of voters in each and every district. We did that with only a variance of 1 throughout the whole state in each and every district for the House and the Senate. So that's why the maps were approved for the first time really in Georgia's history. They were not thrown out and changed a bit. And it's a very interesting process, but I think I have one of the best districts in the state, and now I live right in the heart of it, right around the corner from y'all, right by the city clock.
Okay. Across the country, there have been multiple cases of police brutality, particularly against people of color. What, if anything, can the state legislature do to prevent these problems in Georgia?
Well, I think there have been many conversations, period. I'm not sure that any of the legislation we do or that I've seen occur is based on color, any color at all. I don't feel that, I don't sense it, I don't see it. So I feel that we have a strong desire to make sure that law enforcement is trained appropriately. Over the years, we've been able to bump up some of the raises to meet, particularly in our state patrol, and then to help our cities and counties and sheriff's departments across the state find ways to also increase theirs. But that is a local, in many cases, that is a local decision, and it's very important, I think, for all 3 layers of government to work as they should. It's not good for our state to necessarily meddle in federal government or for them to meddle in ours, and it's certainly not appropriate for us to get too deep in the weeds with our city government. If you want to be that hands-on in a city or county, you should be in city or county government.
Do you know the general population of District 13 and the breakdown of that population by race and ethnicity?
Ooh, I wish I'd looked that up. I'm so sorry that I don't. Like I'm telling you, I don't necessarily see the colors or the race or the ethnicity, that word. I really see the people. I see the children and the families and the people who have also decided to work here and hopefully live here much of the time, be educated here, and find ways to help our community be strong. So I'm not as affected by that. We're at the end of a cycle here where in 2020 we'll be having another census and take a look at that. I can tell you that the number of members in a House district today is almost equal to what not too long ago was a Senate district. Georgia's grown. We were 10th not too long ago. Now we're the 8th most populated state.
Okay. Georgia's job opportunities continue to increase, and yet we are ranked 34th in the country in unemployment. We have available workers for the jobs, but they don't seem to have the education and skills that employers need. How do we close this gap?
Working on it. Got some great avenues here, I think, locally too. Y'all are in the field of education, so you know it well. The college and career academies, the technical partnerships that are coming out, dual enrollment. I think more than ever it is so important for a young person in high school to leave high school not only with a diploma but with a skill, if that is as far as they may be going. And the Hope Scholarship affords opportunities not to penalize that dual enrollment, that career pathway. We have students, I visited the Career and College Academy just a few weeks ago, and we have students that can leave there with really quite impressive salaries, that have already studied, they finish high school, they have that certification. If they wish to go on to our technical school right across the street, they can increase it and you know, even become better producers. But we've learned, I think it's stronger than ever that we have actually learned that a four-year college degree does not always produce the maximum income that a skill can. Focusing on a viable workforce, though, is very important. We do have some good industries here in Rome and Floyd County, and they're working on apprenticeships as well as internships.
Career advancement for teachers usually means a move into administrative position. That trend means you lose our best and most experienced teachers in the classroom. What can be done to help teachers advance in their careers but remain in teaching?
You know, you could tell me about that more than I can, actually. I have a degree in early childhood education, and I'm not in the classroom right now, so I understand that. The reality is that I think teachers like to advance in that way, just often. You know, they want to be the principal, they want to be in administration. Sometimes I'm very sad when I see them move from administration in a school to administration in a central office, because you know, that's a big change. But in reality, they've taken a step to help the greater good of the whole system. And I think that's to be looked up to. Only our best and brightest are going to be chosen for that, those who really understand and who are ready to work even harder. Usually, I have just finished up, we have Georgia Pre-K Week. This was the 25th anniversary of pre-K in Georgia. And my early childhood education experience comes out and draws me into those schools every year. We're asked to read in one. I just finished up my 9th. It takes a little stretch because Floyd and Rome City schools actually take their break during what is designated as Pre-K Week. But I see that as a great advantage. So I started about almost 3 weeks ago, and I've read in multiple pre-Ks and see that early start where it really starts and begins. See the dedication of those teachers that wake up every day excited, just like those children do, try to meet those expectations.
All right. Both the economy and the stock market have done well over the last several years. Yet the teachers' retirement system, TRS, has performed poorly. As a result, the General Assembly allocated $223 million last fiscal year and $361 million this fiscal year to shore up the TRS. The current situation is both detrimental to the state budget and to the future retirement prospects of Georgia educators. What can be done to improve the fiscal health of the teacher retirement system, considering that the TRS is struggling during such a bull market on Wall Street? Is it time to consider new management?
Well, I think that would be up to the TRS to decide. I don't have a vote in that, actually. But I think the important thing is to realize that your legislators value teachers enough to make that sacrifice, to find the ways to continue to put money in. Now, can we continue to sustain that? I agree with you that I don't think we can. We'll do everything we can to keep them there. Those are our teachers' money. So I would say that who might be managing their money is something for them to take a look at, certainly, and figure out to their advantage. But this year, not only was it vitally important to fully fund K through 12 education for the first time ever since that plan was developed through several governors, both Democrat and Republican, to survive the Great Recession and also find the way to make sure that we are fully funding our classrooms across the state for the first time. It was equally important to make sure that the funds in our teacher retirement fund were very stable as built up as we could. That is teachers' money. They are putting it in there, and they have the voice to decide how best to do it. Right now, we're trying to keep them there, and I think there's a full commitment to that. They have a very strong system that allows allows us to do a little, but not much to it from the legislative perspective.
All right, we don't have long for this question. The number of children in foster care in the state of Georgia has risen to over 14,000 in 2018. What steps do you think the state should take to reduce these numbers?
Well, we are taking steps every day to reduce the numbers. You have to remember that I said Georgia has grown. It hasn't just grown with people who are coming here just to get an education or just to have a job. It also has grown with people who come with challenges. The drug addiction problem continues to grow. The crime problem continues to grow. And both of those are real reasons that break families up, that cause the separation that is very sad. We still hold true to trying to reunite every family possible. So while there are more and more children in foster care situations, there are also more efforts being taken to reunite that family, to give them the best chance ever, because it is proven always that children want and do better with their parent or with a family member. So that's a strong goal. It's our #1 goal. But one of the things that's really neat too, Greg, is some of the individual and unique to each community programs that have developed that go way beyond the reach of government. And I think that's the real answer to family survival and family vitality. One is right here. Our the Mowers, Mary Margaret and Jeff, Restoration Rome. That program has become the model for our entire state. And I'm not saying that in a little bit of a way. It's a large way. It's being built out as a community of hope is how it began. But it is now the statewide focus of creating our state of hope. I served on the design committee for the State of Hope. We've just been through our first grant cycle. It's a partnership with some of the Casey foundations. It is a great pathway, I think, to deal with the challenges, not only that do exist, but that sadly, just because of the reality of life, many people are facing in the breakup of families.
We need to take a quick break. We'll be back with more questions. Our candidate after this. Stay with us.
Seven 7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're here with candidate Katie Dempsey, State Representative for District 13. We'll continue with our questions. The solar energy industry has grown in Georgia in recent years. The state of Georgia is now one of the nation's leaders in solar energy. Given all of the sun we naturally get in Georgia, should the General Assembly do more to encourage the solar industry? If so, what should the General Assembly do?
Well, one of the committees that I serve on is Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications, so I'm well aware of that. There are solar partnerships across our state that are very active at the state capitol, and not just while we're in session, but year-round. I probably get 2 or 3 emails a day. They are engaged in that conversation, and then our leading industries, our EMCs, as well as Georgia Power is one of the largest solar providers in our state. I think that we have, I love seeing the solar farms around too, don't y'all? I mean, truly, when I drive through the roads in Georgia, it's just very, very exciting to me to see those. And they are tucked in a lot of great places, but where the sun is shining. I think that there is encouragement for it. There are incentives. They first came out from a federal perspective. I think some of those have disappeared. I think now it's also just, more than anything, it's just trying to do the right thing because it's right. And I think that exists in our state. There are a lot of good people in the energy industry. that want to try to do what is best for Georgia and to make sure that we can always turn our lights on.
The plant Vogtle nuclear plant is behind schedule and behind budget. Georgia Power customers have paid more on their electrical bill to pay for its construction. Is it time to end the construction of Plant Vogtle, or should it continue? Why or why not?
Well, I absolutely think it should continue. It's not thinking about today, but thinking about tomorrow. I have toured Vogtle, I think 3 times in all over the years when it was first being started. I was there when some of the disappointments happened, I think, with partnerships that they had that were way out of their control. When Westinghouse went bankrupt and it affected all of the nuclear generation, that was something they could not have predicted. We are close to the finalizing of that project. So much is in place, and it is like a city. The job creation that exists there, I don't even know the numbers, but it is a 24-hour, 7 days a week project where people are building and working, employed, skilled. It's created almost a separate level of housing that exists all around that area for the plant workers. There have been support services for restaurants, for food. In the end, it's going to be very beneficial, and it will also assure not only Georgia, but much of our nation of power into the future.
All right. Due to the growth in population of the Latino community in Georgia and across the nation, candidates for public office will need to seek out the Latino vote. Which of your positions on the issues would be of special interest to Latino voters? And in what other ways have you reached out to the Latino community in your district?
Well, I think the issues that matter to me are the same issues that matter to all families. And when I think of our Latino communities, I think particularly of the emphasis they have on family. They care very much about one another. Many are engaged in our local churches here, and I have helped through those ways, particularly been involved and in conversations, listening more than talking. Since I am not Latino, I want to know what their concerns are, number one. But the measures that we are taking to help families and to help families through difficult times, like fully funding education, like dual enrollment, ways for their children to become employed, the ESL programs throughout this community in particular are strong because I've seen them and I've met those teachers at all levels and have seen firsthand what they are doing, and I'm so impressed by it. I was in a classroom at Anna K. Davies years ago when 2 children came in that did not speak English, and I watched the process. I watched how they were there, but they were not doing anything that was going on in that classroom. And I saw that in September. And then by about November, I was back visiting, and they had learned so much. They weren't just coloring and passing time and watching. They were participants in the classroom. It starts at meeting the needs of individuals who come to our community, wherever they enter, how they enter at the place they are in, and trying to help them meet those resources. Every bill I've ever carried in the House over the 12 years, and I carry a lot. Last year I think I had 9 passed and signed, so I work on legislation a lot. But I do that for agencies particularly. They come and ask me to carry their legislation. Some of the pre-K legislation this past year, as well as our quality rated child care facilities, those are very important for parents and for families to know how that child care actually is rated on a statewide level, or if they're not rated. So I think those measures that really strengthen the family, also working with DFACs and all of the many avenues that they take care of, which includes nutrition, our food programs, our feeding programs come through that same budget as well. So trying to stay close to that, to meet the needs of someone who comes here, who chooses to be here, and might not have the support family and might not know exactly where to turn.
Estimates for the number of DACA students in Georgia vary, but all seem to agree there is a significantly large number. These are immigrant youth who came to the United States when they were children. Most of these students know America and Georgia as their only home. Should DACA students be given an easier method of becoming legal residents? And should DACA students attending Georgia colleges be given in-state tuition?
You know, a lot of that is federal. And as I said, it's not my job to meddle in the federal government. But I think we're waiting on some answers, some action, some work that they need to do, particularly on DACA, and on the populations that are trying to get into our America. It's a great place, and of course they should try with all of their might and ability to get here. It is important to come legally. I believe that wholeheartedly, that it's very important to find the legal pathway. The Hope Scholarship is challenging. We have to work very hard every year to make sure that there's enough in there for our pre-K and for our college students. The numbers grow of students who can avail themselves of that money, and we need to make sure that we don't step away from commitments made. Remember, a promise made, you can't come back off of that. We can't say, oops, sorry, we ran out of money to those Hope Scholars.
All right. Georgia ranks 6th in the nation for marijuana possession arrests. With the burden placed on our court system and the taxpayers of Georgia, would we not be better off to decriminalize possession of marijuana in small amounts?
That's a really hard conversation to have. I'm going to tell y'all. I just read the numbers of serious accidents and fatalities that have happened in Colorado in recent years since marijuana has been legalized. It affects the employment population. Employers don't particularly want someone who is not doing their very best. And there is no doubt that whether it's alcohol, prescription drugs, or marijuana, you cannot function at your highest level and keep your job and do your job. And in many of them, it's very dangerous to even try to. I would say that in Georgia, I don't think there's an appetite for that right now. There may be some, don't get me wrong. I agree, there are some people who would very much like for us to do that. I've been much more focused on medical cannabis oil and have done the study committee work on that for several years. I think there are some real benefits. I've seen them, I've witnessed them. I've seen children who are in a constant state of seizure who are not on that, who might decrease to 1 or 2 seizures a day. And I do think we need to greatly embrace the possibilities of that, but not the burden that we might put on so many parts of our state by legalizing marijuana.
Okay. Well, we're about out of time, but we'll be back right after this. So go to this break, and we'll see you in a second. Bye.
Your life is filled with opportunities to show the world you can take charge. It's waking up each day with a mission. It's working each day toward a goal. It's choosing to rise. It's charging forward with a purpose. It's changing the course of your life and taking charge of your future. If you're ready to be a Take Charger, enroll at Georgia Highlands College today.
Still in town.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been talking with Katie Dempsey, who is a candidate for state representative, District 13. We appreciate so much your being with us today. And please remember to vote. Early voting has started, and Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th. Make sure you vote. And we will be talking with Representative Dempsey's opposition candidate on a separate show. So look for that conversation as well with Mr. Burnett. Thank you again.
Thank y'all.
And thank you for joining us on Community Watch.